Okay, this is the final. No, it's not the final
No,
episode.
it's not.
It's not the final
It's
episode.
the penultimate.
Penultimate.
Yeah.
So the actual final episode, we're not going to reference the year and thank everyone. This is kind of our opportunity to thank everyone for listening and being such. Well, I think we have the best supporters or fans, whatever you call them. They're just, actually this morning I went to Fitzroy Gardens to take Elsie and I went to Fitzroy Gardens in Melbourne, and we were lying down next to the pond. And a bloke just appeared. I don't know where he came from. Scared the life out of me. He was just there, and he said, "Hi, my name's Corey, and I love your podcast so much."
Oh,
And he was holding The Courage to Be Disliked in his hand. And
Oh,
he said,
super fan.
yeah, and it was I could tell it's from the library, like he'd gone to borrow it. And he said, "I just you guys have taught me so much, and Ryan recommended this book, and I'm nearly finished. I love it. I needed a bit of a mental health day today, and I've taken the day off work, and I'm reading Ryan's book recommendation, and yeah, it was lovely. It was I don't know where he came from, but he was just there.
It's like he's decided to go to Halloween in like an Imperfects costume. Like if you want to like go to Halloween in like an Imperfects, like as an Imperfects fan, you have The Courage to Be Disliked in one hand. You've got like Ben Crow Mojo Crow app, Brene Brown hat, your book, both books. So this will be the second last penultimate episode. The final episode we will do is one which will be sort of centered, Hugh, around your new book.
In a non-promotional type of way.
Of course not. Of
If
course
possible.
not. The last thing you want is to promote the book. Heaven forbid.
We'll be jumping into a couple of the chapters and exploring them with the people who are in the chapters, I guess.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I'm so
It
excited.
just needs a little bit more time to prepare it. So that's going to be...
I downloaded the Audible version
did
of
you?
it today, this morning. I'm excited.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm going to listen. Would you rather me listen or would you rather me read?
I don't think I
Please say
have a preference.
listen. Please say listen.
Listen.
Yes. Listen's going to be a bit easier for me, I think.
Yeah.
I can't read.
Then you should definitely listen.
Okay, I will then.
That's the best option for you.
Congratulations, by the way. We haven't even congratulated you. I mean, I have privately, but I want to publicly. What an amazing... It's 2 books.
It's
amazing.
When I think I've probably said this to both of you at some point, but it took me 10 months to write the book and all these ideas for chapters. And then the morning it came out, which was the 30th of November, I sat bolt upright in bed like I was in a cartoon and just this, like in a cold sweat. And I was like, oh my God, what have I told everyone? Some of the chapters in there, I haven't even told Mum and Dad this stuff.
Oh, yeah. Or me. There's a lot of... I've read about 5 or 6 chapters and there was a lot I hadn't heard or knew.
Yeah.
Been pretty revelatory for me.
God, imagine for me, I'm going to be like... Have you got a middle name, actually? That's something I don't know about you.
I do.
Something I didn't know.
What is your middle name?
It's Richard.
Great. That's great. Good for you.
Could have been a chapter of the book.
Could have been a great, very vulnerable. Yeah, it's a lovely middle name. Lovely middle name. Richard.
Josh got 2.
You got 2 middle names.
Yeah.
Go on.
Adrian.
Yeah.
And Cumming. It's our mum's maiden name.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's great.
What's your middle name?
Eric.
Oh, yeah.
What's wrong with that?
No, nothing. At first I thought that's my uncle's name and I love it. So that's good.
Eric. Yeah, I used to be embarrassed by it, but now I love it.
Yeah.
Eric.
Did you ever get called Big E?
Never.
No, I'm not surprised.
It's weird, isn't it? Last night, Hugh, today is Friday. We're recording this on Friday. Last night, you did something that I was in awe of, that you were willing to do this, because to me, it's terrifying. I mean, incredible, but terrifying. I love the show, but you went on Q&A as a panelist.
Yeah.
And I still haven't seen it. I couldn't watch it last night. I still haven't seen it. Well done. How did it go?
Well, when the producer first called me, she said, "Hi, Hugh. I'm from Q&A. Justine, the producer. I just wonder," and I went, "Oh, no.
Just
no."
spewed.
Yeah.
Straight up spew. Sorry, Justine. I just had to quickly spew out my nerves. Yeah.
Because I watch Q&A. I sometimes stop watching halfway through because I just get so nervous for the panelists. And I'm at home. I'm at home and I get so nervous.
I mean, not that I would ever presume that they would ever want me on for any reason, but the thought of me, for whatever reason, ending up on that show gives me chills.
Well, I thought about you last night because Arj Barker was on, the comedian, and I was
Well,
thinking,
he'd be great though. He's
so
like,
would you. You'd be amazing at it.
but he's a professional comedian. What am I? Go on. What am I?
A bloody
I could never
professional
do it.
comedian.
Ah, go on. Bullshit. I could never do it. I'd be shit. What do you think, Hugh?
Well, I was thinking as I was doing it. Actually, your girlfriend Jam sent me a message saying you'll be great tonight. Just pretend everyone's Ryan. And it was in my head when we were kicking off. I was looking out to a sea full of Ryans.
That's good advice.
I look at all the panelists, so I was thinking about you being on the panel. You'd be amazing at it.
Okay.
But I panicked for a long time, and it was really terrifying. It was I usually have complete control over what I do and what I say, and I sort of enjoy that I can. But I had no control. Really, I don't know. Gosh, I was on there with Narelda, who was just. I've had people who saw it. She was extraordinary. She was so wonderful. Miss you. I mean, everyone was really good. There's a point where it got quite heated.
This is what I'm worried about. The getting heated.
Yeah.
I'm not good with confrontation, Hugh. You know this.
Well, neither am I. I mean, Narelda pulled up John on something he said. It was in Dad's words. Dad said he wasn't right or wrong. He was just bloody ridiculous. and Narelda pulled him up on that, and then she got into him and she said, "You're kidding yourself, John." And then Missy piled in as well. Missy got into him as well.
Oh, no.
And I was just hiding under my chair. Camera
pans to your seat. You're gone.
Yeah.
Where is there's just like a silhouette of like smoke in your shape that you've just.
There may as well have been. Afterwards, I apologised to her that I was sorry I wasn't, but I didn't know. Missy just jumped straight in. Missy was amazing.
Yeah.
But there was one thing I did want to talk about from it because it's a really hard thing to do. Like you have no idea what the questions are. And I thought of something popped into my head as I was trying to answer something. And early on, I struggled. Like my first few answers, I think a lot of my answers weren't great. I mean, I didn't answer any questions that were asked of me, but one of them I mentioned someone. And
you absolutely haven't followed the brief of the show.
No, it was like,
answer.
Welcome to Q. Don't worry about the A's tonight. We got Hugh Van Cuylenberg. He's going to hear the cues, but he will not be A-ing them.
I nearly made a joke, but I didn't because that was Arj's job. But I was going to say, this is more like Q and story because they would ask me a question. I'd tell a story that had nothing to do with the question.
Yeah.
But I chose not to say that.
I think that's what I would do probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway. But I did want to mention something because I mentioned someone's name and our podcast in the same story. And it was, as I started telling the story, I could see David Spears, who's the host, looking a little bit, we don't have time for this story. And he wanted to move to the next thing. I felt like the producer was in his ear and I got a little bit panicky and I rushed the story. And I didn't do it justice. And I just want to clear up what I was trying to say. So,
you want to make do.
Sorry?
You want to make do.
Want to make do. What does that mean?
Make good?
Is it a make good?
No, because make do's like, we'll just make do.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't mean that.
No, I don't want to
make good.
Yeah, I want to make good.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's not a make do. Idiot, Shelton.
God. That's the kind of stuff they'd love on Q&A.
Oh, that's exactly what will be bloody trending on Twitter in no time. Make do? Bloody Shelton, get off. Stop A-ing.
So I just want to clear up what I was trying to say. So because I mentioned this wonderful person. So Darcy Vesio, who a lot of people will probably know. Darcy is one of the best AFLW players of all time. She plays for Carlton and amazing footballer, and as Ben Crow would be delighted to learn, an even better person, just a wonderful person. I've met her a few times down at the US track, and then I did some stuff with the Carlton women's team. She reached out to me probably about a month ago as a DM through Instagram and wrote a lovely message about how much she loves the show. And I thought, that's good. That's really nice. But the next paragraph said, but I also need to let you know that I feel really uncomfortable with one of your formats. She said, ironically, it's probably my favourite. I love the Vulnerability House.
Good so far, Darcy.
Yeah. One of Darcy's parents is of Asian descent. And she just said to me, look, I just want to let you know I feel a little bit uncomfortable with the music you play with the Tea House. She said to me, it feels a bit like cultural appropriation. And I my heart sunk and I just felt I felt sick for a good 5 minutes and just thought, oh my gosh, this is like the opposite of the purpose of this podcast. Like we just want to help people to feel better and to know that we'd made someone, well, it doesn't matter who it is, but someone I have enormous respect for as well. I feel like that. I was quite shattered. Anyway, I wrote back to her and it wasn't defensive, but I was also trying to explain why I just felt that it was well, I sort of chatted to you guys briefly, but it was in my mind, it wasn't really Asian music. It was a Peruvian pan flute. So, and I thought, okay, well, good. So I wasn't thinking so we can win this argument. I wasn't thinking that, but I need to let her know that it wasn't that because of this reason.
Intention.
Yeah, it wasn't the intention.
Yeah.
So I wrote her a message, and it was a long message, and then I read it, and I realized that there was so much she couldn't tell when it's written. There's so much you can't tell with the nuances of you need to be able to hear the person.
Tone killer.
Yeah, and so I actually sent her a voice message. I sent her 5. It's 5 1-minute ones.
Cool. Real chill, bro. 5 voice messages. Wow.
You only allowed 1 minute each, and so I did 5.
Oh, God, 5 minutes.
It's a lot.
Oh, well, you've put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah, and
Or is it just you saying,
No, there might have been a bit of that. And then she sent heaps back, and then I sent heaps back, and we had this long...
Yeah.
And so we could hear each other's voice and hear the intention behind it. She just wanted to let me know how I felt. She, I hope, could tell how sorry I was, but also that we were not confident, but we felt that maybe...
Well, our intention wasn't that.
Our intention wasn't that yet, basically. And so you can tell why I didn't manage to cram this into Q&A last night, the story so far.
Oh, I'm terrified but excited to watch.
Yeah, I really rushed it out. And as I was like, I'm not doing justice here. Anyway, Darcy was amazing. And she said, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate these messages. I've really enjoyed this conversation, and which is extremely nice of her to say. But later that night, I was reflecting on it, and I was thinking, and so that was my first point that I wanted to say last night, was that we need to talk and have a conversation. I mean, we should have just picked up the phone and called each other, but
it's a very arduous way of having a conversation.
It is. We're both so young, that's just the way we communicate.
I do like when you send me voice messages, though.
Yeah,
because then I can keep it. Like you sent me a really nice one the other day, and I'm glad that it was like that. I could keep it as a record. They're actually quite good.
Yeah, I've got a few people that I voice message a lot. There's a few people. I don't know why. Anyway, I love it. So that's my first point. I think we need to be if we disagree on something as human beings, we should always talk about our disagreements, not have the argument over social media where everyone can see it and you have the pressure to win the argument. So that was my first point, which I didn't make very well. The second point I want to make was I reflected on it and I thought, I feel like that might have just been the absolute epitome of privilege to sit back and try and argue, not argue, but defend what we'd done against how she felt. And I felt like perhaps it's time for men of my age and older and my skin colour to maybe just stop talking and just listen. And when it's appropriate, say sorry. And when it's appropriate, say, I'm going to do better. And thank you so much for sharing how you feel. And I wanted to say that last night and I completely butchered it. But
instead you said it's time for men of my skin colour to stop listening and just talk. It's really stuffed that up, mate.
So I just want to say that, I guess more so just to clear up that Darcy was just so great and all that. First of all, courageous to say, hey, this is how I feel. But then also to listen to a 41-year-old white male say, oh, but this and this and this. And she was very generous with her responses. And and the three of us have to have a conversation about what we do now with vulnerability, house, music.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the main reason we wanted to do this sort of yearly wrap thing, no guest, but what we thought we could do is sort of reflect on the year, do a bit of a trip down memory lane, and we all went away and chose like one moment from this season of the Imperfects, which has just been, I mean, the first 2 seasons we did 6 episodes a year, and this season we've done like 23 or 24. So there's just been so much incredible stuff. And we've had incredible people come on and talk and share some amazing stuff. So we thought if we chose a few things, even though the stuff that's been on, we could pick it out, like moments that meant something to each of us, and then explain why they were important to us.
Yeah.
Hard to choose because there's a lot of incredible stuff. Like as I was looking back through the episodes, I was like, God, how do I not choose something from that episode or that episode? Anyway, Hugh, you've got something from.
Okay, so my favourite moment of this season, and I've absolutely loved doing this season with you guys. It's just been so
good,
so incredible. My favourite moment though was when we had, I nearly called him Jason, Daniel Ellenberg. Who is a psychologist, a therapist, who specialises in, I guess, working with men and putting men in touch with, I guess, their more emotional side and more vulnerable side.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a moment in the podcast which we didn't expect it to go this way, but it turned into almost like a therapy or session for the three of us. Looking at he became. You could tell halfway through he was less interested in talking about the topic of masculinity and more interested. He became fascinated in the dynamics of our relationship.
Yep.
I think he liked the fact that we're quite vulnerable with the way we feel about each other and working together. I think that's what he sort of. Anyway, there was a point where it gave me the opportunity to say something or bring up something with Josh, which we definitely would never have just talked about casually, because it's a little bit awkward. And you think, oh, it'd be a nice thing to say. We probably don't need to talk about it though. And we can play it now, maybe, if we can. Josh has got the new Rodecaster
Pro.
And I actually just this is a gamble. I have no idea. It comes with sound effects, and I think this might be a perfect memory lane sound effect.
Oh, you've got there's sound effects on there.
Yeah, that it comes with. Let's see.
Whoa!
Well, yeah, and to return, I mean, I said this at Hugh's wedding, but Hugh's always been my hero, basically, the person I've looked up to the most and wanted to be like. And so, yeah, it's an incredibly loving relationship. Yeah.
I'm worthy of that.
Is there can you adopt siblings?
Yeah.
I want in.
Apparently you are. You're becoming him. Hugh, I want to check in with you about something. We're having this kind of off-the-cuff conversation. So when you just said, I'm worthy of that, and you kind of like said it in a semi-jokey kind of way. Yeah. Did you feel worthy? I mean, what did you actually experience in that moment?
I did feel worthy of it because I've certainly felt that. Like I get the feeling that, well, actually, I certainly felt that a lot as a when I was a lot younger from Josh. Like, he's his own man now, and he's forging his own path. And I don't feel like, and this is not a negative comment, Josh. I don't feel like I'm your hero anymore. I think you've kind of that when we were at school, absolutely, I felt that. I felt that very strongly. So hearing him say that, then, well, to be completely honest, for the theme of this chat, I feel like when Josh said it, I thought, yeah, I used to be. I'm not anymore. I definitely used to be.
That's complicated.
Yeah.
Because I think, in all honesty, there's probably truth to that, because I think a lot of my issues growing up was that I wanted to be a carbon copy of you, really. And so in finding who I am, and being my own person, I've had to drop the putting you on a pedestal like I did, because it was an unhealthy amount. So to be my own person, I've had to get rid of the idea of the hero, because there's no such thing, really. And but I think in doing that and navigating that, we've gotten to a position where we've got a much better relationship than we ever had in the first place. One of respect and love, and recognizing that you're not perfect, neither am I, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think you're probably 100% right. But as you said, it's not a negative thing at all.
Beautiful.
So that moment was absolutely massive for me. And the reason is, like, I don't even remember this. It would have been 2016 Boxing Day test.
Yep.
You were going to Japan the next day, and Penny was due to have Benji in the next couple of days, the first grandchild. And I just had this amazing day with you, and I felt like you were treating me like you used to when you looked up to me heaps. And I just loved it. It just felt so amazing. And just before you left, you said, and you hadn't been drinking that much because you were flying out the next day, and you said to me, I have the same feeling about you right now than I did when I was a kid growing up. I'm looking at you the same way. And you gave me a massive hug and said, because you knew the next time you'd see me, we'd have had Benji. And it was one of my favourite moments ever. But I've also had this bit of doubt in me, like, have I done something was there anything I've ever done that stopped Josh looking up to me? Like, was there something I did that made you go, actually, he's not someone I want to make my hero, or he's not someone that I want to idolize, or I don't want to be like him. I wondered if I'd done something. But of course, I'd never ask you that. It's like a weird question to ask. But hearing you say that you had to, that was your undoing, that you were trying to be someone else, that made total sense to me. I got it straight away. But for a very long time, I'd wondered, had I done something? Was I not? And so that was just, I mean, I guess it's a pretty selfish highlight of the season. But for me, it was a huge moment to hear. I hadn't done anything. It was just, that was about you working out who you were.
Definitely, yeah. And I think hearing that back, and I remember at the time thinking there's unspoken stuff there that we need to talk about, because in that transition from a relationship, there's one form of relationship to another one, I reckon there probably was a moment where it wasn't as good as it could be, and it was probably some it wasn't going that well. Oh, it wasn't going badly, but it just wasn't as good as it was, and it wasn't as good as it is now. But I kind of felt like I hadn't been able to work out what it was, but I kind of felt like I said it exactly the way I wanted to say it to you then.
Oh, awesome.
Like it's that it isn't, it was never any doing or fault or anything like that. I think it's just a natural transition.
Yeah.
Yeah, from what was originally probably just an unrealistic pressure I was putting on myself by idolizing you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like you'd never at any point say to me, I think I'm going to have to change the dynamics of this relationship.
That would be very proactive and very
incredible for
to be able to go, look, over the next couple of years, things might get a little bit different, but don't worry.
I mean, it's incredible that because we didn't plan that, obviously, in that episode, that we didn't know that was going to happen. And I hadn't thought about that part of that episode. I mean, it's obviously meant a lot more to you two than to me, but it's incredible how eloquent you were, Josh, in that, considering that was...
We didn't know it was coming up at all.
It's incredible how eloquent you were, considering you hadn't planned, you hadn't, thought about that. Whereas, I don't know, it just hearing that back. And also, on top of that, what a great thing that we have this podcast, so that moment was recorded.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That's very rare that people would have that moment recorded like that.
I wonder if Charlie and Benji and Elsie will listen to that ever.
Yeah.
I mean, if Richard and Eric had a podcast,
we would have listened to it.
I would absolutely listen to it.
Yeah, for sure.
That's true.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was very special to me because I always wondered if I'd done something. And then all of a sudden at the cricket one day, it was like we had a day where it was back to, because I loved it when you looked up to me and I loved it so much. It was like...
I reckon I know why. I also reckon I can explain that day. I don't know if this is too much detail for the podcast. I have a feeling, I don't remember exactly, but I felt so guilty for going over to Japan, and I still do feel really bad about it, for not being in Melbourne when you had Benji. And I reckon I was probably trying extra hard to make up for the fact that I felt so guilty that I was going to Japan when you were going to have your first child.
Okay.
Wow.
I thought it was because...
I still do feel bad about that, by the way.
Oh, we don't care.
Okay, good.
I thought it was because I wasn't drinking because we're having a baby the next day, and you're going, he's mature. He's grown up. He's not a silly man anymore. He's grown up. That's what I thought it was.
No, that was not it.
Wow, he's really grown up in the last day.
Or just he's about to have a baby. I'm proud
there was
of
probably
him.
a bit of that as well. It's a massive life shifting moment. So I was probably a bit nostalgic and rethinking childhood and all that kind of stuff.
I think I was really sad that you weren't going to be there, but I wasn't disappointed in you.
Yeah, it's just never really sat that well with me.
I actually can't remember, to be honest, but I don't think
you had other things going on.
Yeah, but anyway, it's that was a big moment for me because I think a lot of people will be able to relate to, we just tell ourselves stories, we often assume the worst about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I never considered it might be about you going, I can't idolize my bigger brother if I need to work out what I'm who I am. I can't keep doing you liking the same music and but I just in my head I was like, I must have done something.
Well, you didn't.
Okay.
You did lots of little things. No, you didn't do anything. But it's just anyway, I think I've said what I can say more later, but I think I've said enough for this now. Cool. But absolutely didn't.
It's I so That's amazing, guys. Like, I love being here witnessing this. Like, it's because I don't like my relationship with my sister is like very different. I guess brothers are maybe different than brothers and sisters. But I remember just on the topic of like how you were maybe feeling when Hugh was going to have Benji. I remember when Vanessa, my sister, had her first child, Tegan, and I was like at a restaurant, and I remember I got the call that Tegan was, daughter was born, and I just never felt like pride. Like it was just this. I was just so just in awe of her. Like saw her in a completely different way because she's my little sister, but I often now know that like even though she's like a couple of years younger, she's far older. Like in like more mature at least than I am. You just have to look at my website to know that. On my Instagram. But I remember on that day that it's like I saw her in a whole different light. In a whole different light. It
does that, doesn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I remember why I was probably different that day. It's just when you started talking, it clicked exactly why. And I don't know if I've ever told this to you. I think I might have said it to Mum and Dad, but I don't think I've ever told you this. That when we were growing up, because there's a 6-year age gap, I was a lot younger. We had this perfect relationship and you always looked out for me. Like I felt a little bit like almost like I'm the baby, and like you're like a father figure, sort of. So, and I was really cognizant at the time, and I remember this thinking that I'm no longer the baby. Once Benji comes along, I'm no longer the child for you to care for and look out for and stuff. And I remember the feeling of, well, this is an end of an era. Like it's not going to be like this ever again, which is a natural thing that has to happen. But it was a somewhat challenging thing not challenging, it was exciting, but it was just knowledge that an era was ending.
Whoa.
I don't know what to say.
That's amazing. That's so, wow.
Yeah. I actually don't have anything to say to that. I'm without words.
Yeah. Me too.
Well, probably nothing does have to be said. Thanks, Josh. Whoa.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm glad I got that out because I definitely felt it at the time.
Because I have chatted to. Sorry, I feel like I'm hijacking this
not at all
episode with.
I'm just shocked that I didn't know that you were Josh's dad. This whole time I thought you were brothers. So amazing! I'm learning a lot. You look great, Hugh, considering your age. Yeah, sorry, didn't mean to.
No. I on that very quickly, and then we can move on to the next highlight. But I remember having a session with Anita, my psychologist, and we're talking about you, and we're talking about everything Benji. And no, that's right. I was explaining to her that I often call Benji Josh and you Benji. I always mix your names up. And then she said, when you think about them, what do you feel and what do you want for them? And I said the exact same thing. I want their life to be as easy as possible. I just want them to have the easiest life possible. I don't want. And she said for both of them, I said I feel the exact same way about. And she said, well, that's probably why if that's that strong feeling you have, that's probably why you mix their names up. Like when you look at them, you have a feeling as soon as you see them, and your brain knows that feeling you get when you look at that person. So that's huge. If you've just said that you felt like I had like a fatherly figure, because I mix you up. I mix you and Benji up all the time.
How long did you? Sorry, Josh, you say no go.
Oh no, it just fits the story perfectly, doesn't it? Yeah.
How long do you remember? How long you remember? Was it just I guess probably your whole life up until that point where you probably looked at Hugh as in that sort of father figure role? I guess an older brother.
Yeah, like yes, father figure. It's not quite the right word.
I know. I know exactly what you mean.
It's like a protector, carer.
Yeah. Yes.
Person that's going to make everything be okay, sort of role.
Yeah, I've certainly felt like I have to I can't remember going to England to play cricket for 7 months when I was 21, and I was very uncomfortable with the fact that I was leaving Josh behind for 7. It was ridiculous. He was in year 9, but I was uncomfortable with the fact I was leaving him behind. I was like, I need to be there for Josh. So yeah. That was the one thing I was like, this is an important year in Josh's life. But anyway,
this is a long app. All right.
Well, I was actually
in the next hour we'll go on to the next thing.
No, I was actually just thinking. I wonder if we do end the app here and break this into a couple of apps, because I think otherwise it will be a long app.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know. Like,
that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
I need a moment to gather myself after that as well.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be hard to transition to anything else just for now.
Yeah, I was about to list off my top 5 dick jokes of the year, so I don't know if I just don't know if it's going to fit in the same app. So maybe we do end the app here if you guys are okay with that. And it can be, I don't even know how long we've been going for, but that doesn't, I don't feel like we can really go on from that. Like, that was amazing.
I don't know if we need to have a takeaway from it, but maybe just if people think about their relationships with their siblings and any unspoken stuff that might, you're probably going to spend a lot of time with your siblings over the next, you might be lucky enough to in the next couple of months.
I think that came across.
Okay. That's my resilience project teacher brain of going, okay, what's the takeaway? How do we practice it?
Yeah. Sorry, Josh, I had to cut you off.
No, it's obvious to say as well. But just once you start the conversation, you have no idea where it's going to go. Because I had no idea that piece of memory and emotion was in there, but I'd kind of forgotten about it. Yeah.
Do you feel like you got everything out?
Yeah.
You two have done well, by the way. You've both been out together last night and not a whole lot of sleep, and very good. You've done very well.
You've got Josh on the right day. He's had 3 hours sleep. Yeah.
I'm going to be very emotional.
Most vulnerable and emotional version of Josh. Okay, well let's end part one of end of year wrap, yet to be titled properly episode.
Yeah.
That was something. I felt like I felt like I wasn't here. In a good way. Like, I felt like I was just sort of like watching. I was in a family meeting. It was amazing. So we'll be back. I guess, I don't know how often we'll release these. I don't know how this is going to work, but thanks for listening. Back soon.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.